Hi everyone, my name is Jordan Rye, and I have reviewed the Canyon Center for Character Education's resources. These are resources that Grand Canyon University has to offer on virtues and character. I have reflected on how one person's character is based not only on what a person believes, but how they truly live out their lives through their choices, actions, and the relationships that they form. When I think about 4 personal virtues, one from each domain that I possess, I would choose as my civic virtue service, for my moral virtue compassion, for my performance virtue perseverance, and for my intellectual virtue I found it to be open-mindedness. For my civic virtue I chose service. The civic virtue supports community and contributes to what is good. And as a future teacher, the virtue reminds me that teaching is not only about presenting information for a specific subject, but I am also here to support students, their families, and create a positive classroom environment. This virtue helps to create an inclusive classroom because I want to be aware of the needs of each student so that I can make them feel welcome and feel supported. For my moral virtue, I chose compassion. The moral virtue guides social interaction, helps make decisions and choices, and possessing compassion for others will help me recognize that each student comes from their own unique background, meaning they come from different cultures and have different learning experiences. Compassion will also allow me to respond to students with an understanding and patience rather than responding with judgment. For my performance virtue, I chose perseverance. The performance virtue helps people navigate life in uncertain situations while helping keep their eye on the goal and their successes. Teaching will require perseverance because not everything is going to go according to plan, and not every student is going to understand what I have to say the first time around. Perseverance will help me look for different strategies for when students struggle and learn to accommodate for different ways of teaching, which will create an inclusive classroom. For my intellectual virtue, I decided to choose open-mindedness. The intellectual virtue is how we handle discernment and how we solve problems, as well as the pursuit of knowledge. Being open-minded is important because teachers, while they are there to educate their students, they are also going to learn things from them as well. The virtues that I believe are most critical in my role as a future teacher are humility, compassion, patience, integrity, and practical wisdom. The Canyon Center explains that practical wisdom or good sense as the virtue that helps other virtues when situations become more complicated or when there could be a collision of virtues with one another. These virtues also connect with the Christian concept of Imago Dei, which tells us that every person is created in the image of God, and every student has worth and dignity. And as a teacher, I should not define my students by their behavior, grades, or the challenges they face, but rather I should look at each student as a child of God. Imago Dei means educating with patience, respect, and having expectations because every student is capable of growth. To me, character formation is the ongoing development of virtues, habits, and the decisions that shape an individual. It is not only about knowing right versus wrong, but learning how to practice what is right consistently. One strategy I will use to foster character formation is modeling these virtues myself and showing my students how they themselves should respond to conflict, mistakes, and differences. And if my students are going to learn this, I will have to model these virtues in how I teach, speak, and how I respond to my own differences. A second strategy I will use is character reflection through literature and writing. As a future English teacher, I will be able to ask students to analyze different characters and the beliefs and decisions that they have made, and discuss what they see in their character and whether they feel that that character has shown humility, justice, or integrity. This will allow my students to start thinking about the virtues themselves, and it's a way for me to naturally fit it into classroom discussions. To further my own character development as a teacher, I would continue using resources from Grand Canyon University, as well as take continuing education courses and ask for feedback from my mentors, and lastly, continue growing through scripture and prayer. Thank you.